Welcome to my little presentation on why the sunrise on the reaping sucks. I just finished reading Hamish's Hunger Games, and honestly, it wasn't great. I gave it a 2 out of 5 stars. I've always loved the Hunger Games series, so this book was a real letdown for me. Now, let's talk about why this book didn't just fall short, it crashed and burned. There are several things I didn't like about it, and don't get me wrong, it wasn't horrible, but it felt really rushed, underdeveloped, and sometimes straight up illogical. This book needed at least 300 more pages. It had the potential to be incredible, but it just didn't go far enough. If you're going to tell the story of Hamish's Hunger Games, one of the most emotionally loaded, politically significant moments in the lore, you need space. You need time. And this book didn't have either. This is going to be part review, part rant, part fanfic pitch. It will get a bit rambly because I didn't make a proper script. I just have a stack of notes to work off of. Spoilers ahead. Okay, let's start with number one. Not enough arena time. The actual Hunger Games arena section should have been at least 70% of the book. In reality, it was around 50%. That part should have taken up the majority of the narrative because that's where the stakes are the highest. Okay, that's where relationships are tested, betrayals happen, alliances form, and people die. But we didn't get enough of that. A big part of the problem is that the entire story is told from Hamish's point of view, and he chose to lone wolf it the moment the games began. Since we only see what he sees, we miss out on everything else happening around him. The other tribute strategies, their relationships, their struggles. As a result, when characters did die, I didn't feel anything. I don't know about you, but personally, I didn't feel anything. There was no emotional payoff because the connections between these characters were not deep enough. I wanted to feel something. I wanted to mourn their deaths or feel shocked, but I couldn't because I didn't know them well enough. We didn't spend enough time in the arena or with the other tributes to understand the dynamics, the tension, or the emotional cost. Okay, on to number two. The newcomers plan weak. Amper, the leader of the newcomers, is supposed to be smart, but the lack of an actual plan beyond sticking together was disappointing. I expected more. Something to preserve the lives of the newcomers for as long as possible, even while supporting the rebel plan. But it felt like he quickly abandoned them to prioritize the rebellion. Did he not feel conflicted choosing one over the other? We don't know because we never saw it. The newcomers had enough people to stand a real chance. So, where was the strategy? Why didn't they just run for it when the games began? They could have scattered into the woods, preserved their numbers, and made makeshift weapons from sticks, stones, or whatever they could grab from the edge of the cornucopia. Then maybe regroup, scout the careers, and set a trap. Instead, we are left in the dark because everything is from Hamish's point of view. We only learn what happened to the newcomers when he meets Ampert, and Ampert is crying as he tells him that many of the others died. That moment is heartbreaking, but I can't help assuming he led them straight into slaughter at the cornucopia, hoping to grab supplies. Each district had a victor, besides Beatty. Did none of them advise their tributes to avoid the obvious initial bloodbath? These are people who've seen the games and know how it works. They've watched the replays and they know the patterns, and yet they offered no alternative strategies? That feels illogical, unless the author is trying to show how broken and apathetic the victors have become, too traumatized or hopeless to help their tributes survive. On the Flickerman show, they talked big. We'll stick together, we'll work as a team, but we saw none of that. Because Hamish went lone wolf almost immediately, we lost any insight into what the newcomers were doing when the game started. We don't see their planning, we don't see their teamwork, or even their failure. And that to me feels like a huge missed opportunity. Number three, what the newcomers' plan should have been. Here's what should have happened, in my opinion. They form a strategy early on. Maybe they know they're weaker, but they recognize the advantage of numbers and brains. Maybe, assuming it's allowed, their mentors coordinate to at least minimize casualties at the cornucopia and brief their tributes accordingly. The newcomers could have set a trap for the careers instead of running blindly into the chaos. I imagine Hamish running away while the newcomers rushed to grab supplies and some of them got wiped out. But maybe it didn't have to be that way. Maybe some could have created a diversion while others gathered gear. It doesn't matter, just something to show us these kids were thinking, planning, trying to survive. Let us see them fail or succeed, but at least let us see them try, is my point. Number four, Hamish going rogue made no sense to me. Here's something that really bugged me. Hamish pulling rebellious stunts in the arena like bombing the generator, even though he has family and a lover back home. It just doesn't make sense. Hamish is not stupid. He knows more or less how snow works. He's spent his whole life afraid of this man, just like everyone else. He has met and spoken to Snow and knows that if he steps out of line, it's not just him who pays. It's Ma, it's Sid, and Lenore, too. So why would he risk everything like that? It doesn't add up. The only way that decision would make sense is if something had already happened to Ma, Sid, and Lenore. Now that would be powerful storytelling. What if, because of Hamish's stunt during the chariot scene, Snow retaliated and executed his family, or at least made it look that way? That would have given Hamish a real reason to rebel. Not out of blind rage, but because he literally has nothing left to lose. Okay, number five, my rewrite. Give Hamish a reason. So here's how I would rewrite his motivation, basically. So Plutarch or someone from the rebel side sees Hamish's attitude. Maybe they approach him, try to recruit him before the games. But he says, no, I've got people. I can't risk them. Makes sense. Then, during the games, they send him a sponsor gift. Something subtle, maybe a quote only Lenore would say, or a small trinket from home. A token, and he gets the message. They're all dead. Boom. Everything changes. He crawls into a cave somewhere to cry, somewhere the cameras won't see, and then he emerges, eyes dead inside, and determined to burn it all down. That would make sense. That would have emotional weight. That would explain the rebellion and make it tragic and earned. Number six, Lenore, aka Flashback Wife. She felt like one of those dead wife in a flashback type characters. Just watch this and you'll understand. Okay, so she's always spinning in a field of flowers somewhere, laughing as the sun catches her hair just right. reciting poetry to the wind. I get that she's supposed to be poetic and intelligent, but she never felt real. She was always performing. There were glimpses of more hints of her involvement in rebel actions, movements that suggested depth beyond Hamish's rose colored view of her. While we never got enough real conversation between her and Hamish about those actions, their relationship felt flat to me, like the author paired them up, gave them a list of romantic couple things to do, and expected us to buy into a deep love story. But it didn't land. Where was the emotional grounding? Where were these small human moments? Disagreeing, making up, washing dishes, talking about the future, etc. I didn't want another poetic monologue. I wanted her to be a person. I wanted to understand why they loved each other. But I didn't feel it. Not really. In the end, she felt more like a literary device than a fully realized character. And that's a shame because her loss should have impacted us emotionally. Number 7. Too much poetry. Too many songs as well. If you love this part of the book, great. Personally, I didn't enjoy it. It felt like the author didn't trust the story to speak for itself and instead tried to hammer the message home through lyrics and verses. It came across as heavy handed and a bit impatient, like she was trying to whack us over the head with the theme, as if we wouldn't be smart enough to get it otherwise. I would have much preferred if the message was delivered through the storytelling itself. Just a matter of preference. But then again, maybe she's right to do so, since there have been a lot of snow thirst TikToks out there. You know who you are if you have made heart eyes at snow. Suzanne Collins is judging you. Number 8. The rebels were barely there. Where were the rebels? What were they doing? I wish we saw more of the behind the scenes action, more of Plutarch, more of the risk they were taking. How were they watching Hamish? How did they communicate with him? Did they plan for him to bomb the generator, or did he go rogue? We should have had glimpses of their world too, not just Hamish in the dark, making reckless choices that don't fully make sense. The rebellion storyline is massive in the Hunger Games universe, and here it was treated like background noise. That was a wasted potential. So, that was everything I didn't like about the book. Now, let's talk about what I liked about it. Number 9, what did I like? I love her writing style. Suzanne was able to keep me in suspense multiple times. When I started feeling like the story was building up to something, I couldn't help but cover the next line of a page with my hand as I read to stop myself from ruining the surprise. I love seeing the reappearance of characters from previous books. I think they were all well incorporated into the story and belonged in it. I especially like seeing Effie and her interaction with Hamish. Final thoughts. This turned into more of a fanfic rant than a review, but whatever. I had thoughts and feelings. So, in short, loved the concept, wanted to love the execution. It needed space, time, and emotional depth. Arena section was too short. The newcomers wasted. Hamish's rebellion unearned. Lenore flat. Rebels barely present. And it needed 300 more pages. I liked the concept, I wanted to love it, but I feel like we were robbed of what could have been a truly heartbreaking, powerful story that got across the messages in the quotes that prefaced the story. Thank you all for coming to my presentation. Tell me what you think in the comments below.